Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this meeting of the Council of the Town of Oakville. I'd like to invite everyone to rise and join Council in singing O Canada. Thank you. Please be seated. I will now give our opening prayer, followed by a moment of silent reflection, and then we'll begin the meeting. God grant us understanding and patience, that justice, truth, and honesty may be evident in our decisions. Make us mindful of the needs of the people throughout the town of Oakville. Help us govern with the wider community in mind, and so create in us a desire for progress and responsible action. We ask this in your name. Amen. All right, everybody, thank you. I see we have no regrets for this meeting. Council, have we any declarations of pecuniary interest? Thank you. Then, how would you like to deal with your minutes, which are before you, of the last two regular sessions of Council, May 6th and May 21st? Councillor Dudek and Councillor Robinson. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? And the minutes are adopted. Council, we have two public presentations on the agenda this evening. And we're going to start with a presentation by the Halton Regional Police Service. And with us tonight are Police Chief Steve Tanner and Superintendent Carol Crow. And as you know, Superintendent Crow is the officer in charge of the district that comprises Oakville. Chief Tanner, would you like to come to the podium and introduce your team and share your information with us?
Certainly. Thank you very much, Mayor Burton. It's our privilege to be here tonight. I know it's taken myself 9 months almost since my return to the Halton Regional Police, so I'm certainly privileged to be here tonight with Superintendent Carol Crow and Inspector Brad Brand. They are the command team for Oakville for the Halton Regional Police. And just a very, very quick note for those that don't know, I grew up in Oakville. I was looking at a map with 311 Riverside, my home address on it, just outside of council chambers. Used to testify in these courtrooms and spent 16 years here before I moved away to 3 other municipalities. So this is the first time that I get to address a municipal council that I don't work directly for, but I can assure you that in my mind and in our minds we do. We work for regional council and of course for the Police Services Board, but we work for all the municipal councils here. So we're very open to any questions that you have tonight or at any time. But tonight it's very easy for me because Carol is going to do the bulk of the presentation to give you some statistics and some overview from her division, and I'll make some closing comments, and we'll certainly be here for any questions. So thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Just get my presentation up here and we should be good to go. And there we have it. As the chief said, I'm Superintendent Carol Crow, and I am the district commander here in Oakville, and I'm very pleased to be here with you this evening. I'm just going to give you a very brief overview of the policing priorities here in Halton Region as well as Oakville, and provide you some statistics as we go. As you know, our service is basically guided by our corporate business plan, which we've broken into four main themes, those being community safety, communication and dialogue, organizational capacity, and organizational excellence. And basically our goal is to reduce fear of crime through targeted programs such as traffic enforcement, addressing youth concerns, drug enforcement, and also building awareness and support of the HRPS with our community through enhanced communication. You may have seen recently that the chief is now a Twitter bug, or we like to call people tweeps or that type of thing, but we certainly engage the community through traditional media as well as social media, Facebook, that type of thing. We also, in meeting our themes, are trying to recognize the changing demographics of the area and the increased diversity, and trying to reach out to all the communities that make our area so diverse. And also focusing on service delivery and opportunities for efficiency. So basically, in an environment where we are continually growing, we see our population growing and our diversity. We have increasing demands for service within our communities. We are consistently one of the services with the lowest police to population ratio. Our staff to population ratio is the lowest in the area, and our cost of policing is also one of the lowest in the area. While doing all of this, we're still investing in our operational efficiencies. Obviously, we have a beautiful new building here in Oakville. It's only a couple of years old. We have a new radio system, our P25 radio system. We're about to embark on replacing all of our mobile workstations in our police vehicles to increase our efficiencies with our frontline officers. We still participate in joint task forces with other police services to address issues of repeat offenders, gun trade, that type of thing. We still focus on community policing, and I think that's probably one of the areas that we can be most proud of is our engagement with our community and our commitment to public safety. And really that's resulted in Halton Region being named the safest region 4 years in a row, and I'm thinking probably going to be 5, but don't quote me on that just in case I'm wrong. We certainly are seeing continued improvement in our crime statistics, which we'll go over in just a moment. And we have achieved a very high public confidence rating. And again, that's one of the things that we're most proud of, because we obviously can't do our job if we don't have the support of the community that we serve. So overall in Halton in 2012, our overall crime rates have dropped, and both in our violent crime and our property crime rates. I think we should be very happy about that, particularly the violent crime rate being down 18.5% from 2011 to 2012. I will go into the specific Oakville rates in just a moment. And once again, we have the lowest crime severity index of the Big 12 services around Ontario. And comparatively, if you look at the chart, you can see that the crime severity index for Canada is 77.6. Here in Ontario, 61.1. And in Halton Region, and I apologize, I fixed that before I sent you the final copy of the presentation, but the Halton numbers are the two green columns on the right. Our overall crime severity index rating is 33.6, and for violent crime, that's at 28.2. Again, the lowest crime severity index in the province. So when we look at traffic is certainly one of the areas of major concern, and I know that I've received a number of emails from many of the councillors sitting before me about the concerns about traffic. Certainly we do try to address the traffic concerns as quickly and as efficiently as possible. But just these are, again, regional statistics as far as our enforcement goes. Our provincial offenses tickets are actually down 7% overall in the region in 2012 from 2011. Some of that is because of priority shifting as far as focusing more efforts on some of the quality of life issues and not strictly on traffic enforcement. The good news is that our motor vehicle collisions are down as well, 5% overall. And in every category, the statistics have dropped there. So property damage, the personal injury, and of course, the most importantly, our fatal motor vehicle collisions have reduced. Another, I hope, positive statistic is that our impaired driving apprehensions have also decreased. And hopefully that's because we have fewer people driving after they've been drinking. And we have issued more roadside suspensions, so people who have blown a warning on the roadside test. So that is up slightly, but you'll see the numbers there up to 452 versus 447. So just an increase of 5 overall from 2011 to 2012. So when we look specifically at Oakville, here is basically the organizational chart for our district and how we run our operations. As we said earlier, I'm the commander here, so I have overall responsibility for all policing in the district. Inspector Brand, who's here with me tonight, has oversight of all frontline patrol, uniform patrol. And then the next person that we would have is our detective sergeant, who manages all of our criminal investigations. You'll see there we're broken down into 4 different platoons, as well as our district response unit. Many of you probably have had contact with Sergeant Julie Craddock-Beal, who is our district response unit sergeant for the time being. We had good news this week that she has been promoted to staff sergeant, so we look forward to her taking on a new role. But certainly the district response unit responds primarily to your traffic concerns as well as the quality of life issues. I know right now one of the hot topics is the parks, because we're coming into the nice weather and there's been some increased activity in the parks after hours and perhaps some mess being left behind. So we are addressing those through some different bike patrol programs, park patrols, that type of thing. And then in the criminal investigation side of the district, you'll see that we basically are broken down into 4 teams there. The big change that we had in 2013 is to make the strategic support team a full-time team. That team basically looks at some of the quality of life issues, but their primary function is to look at drug enforcement. We've had some great successes already this year, some of which I'm sure you've seen in the media, so we are focusing more of our efforts in that area this year. So this is basically how we break down the town of Oakville as far as our policing deployment goes. We break into 4 teams. The Trafalgar team, Palermo, Oakville West, and Oakville East. And we deploy our resources according to the number of calls, generally speaking, the type of calls that we have in those particular areas. And we try to establish what the appropriate level of staffing is for each of those areas. The teams respond in a team fashion, so there will be a number of officers working in any one of those areas at any given time so that we can properly respond to calls for service. This is just a snapshot, basically, of how we would deploy our resources and know which areas to focus on if there is a particular area of concern. This snapshot is basically from a given week at the end of April. And what you'll see is we focus on sort of the key criminal offenses there, as well as our motor vehicle collisions. And we basically can keep track on a weekly basis of what the hot areas are. If there's a particular problem, I know for our friends in Joshua Creek, we experienced quite a rise in our residential break and enters earlier this year. So that type of thing we can actually try to better equip our officers so that they know which areas they should be focusing on when they're out there on patrol. So this is just one of the tools that we would use to deploy our resources. These are the statistics from 2011 to 2012 in those sort of high-risk categories of criminal activity. And what you will see by the circles here is the reduction in the crime rate for Oakville. Now, as we said before, the overall crime rate has dropped across the region. The violent crime rate here in Oakville dropped by 18.8%. The property crime was down 3.6%, and the other total crime was down 6.5%. Some of the major incidents that we've been investigating through 2012 and into 2013, one of the major incidents last year was a homicide that we experienced in January of 2012. We had a suicidal teenager who was rescued by our high school liaison officers last spring. He had actually hung himself in a wooded area not far from the school, and our officers were able to get there, get him down, and doctors commented that it was nothing less than a miracle that this young man survived. Project Early Bird was a lengthy investigation into vault takeover style robberies that included not just Halton Region but also Peel and Waterloo. We made an arrest in that case about a month and a half ago. The arrest was actually made in Peel, but I can tell you that the bulk of the investigative work was done by our very good detectives here in Oakville. Project Torch, otherwise known as Project Scorch, was another lengthy investigation that covered a number of policing areas throughout Ontario and Quebec. We made an arrest in that case in February of this year, our criminal investigations team. The Crown brief went to court today, and my understanding is there's over 400 counts of break and enter among other charges that are going before the courts. All will be heard here in Oakville for the Ontario cases. The charges will have to be laid in Quebec for those cases there. And we also had an arrest of a prolific night prowler. This was a 5-year investigation. This gentleman had committed a number of offenses all throughout southern Ontario and the Golden Horseshoe area, and we were able to arrest him last year, and he's currently before the courts. Again, traffic concerns is one of our greatest areas of concern for the community, and basically this is how we go about assessing how we respond to traffic concerns, because I'm sure all of you have received emails from your constituents saying, they're speeding on my street, they're going through the stop sign, that type of thing. So when we get those concerns, we basically put it through an entire process where we're assessing and confirming that there's actually an issue there. That may include a traffic study, it may include using our citizens Citizens on Phone Patrol. Sorry about that, our volunteers who will go out and help us do some of these traffic studies. And we do the analysis to determine what type of response we are going to provide, whether it's education, enforcement, maybe it's an engineering issue. And anybody who's in the traffic department would have dealt with Sergeant Craddock Bile, and sometimes those concerns are addressed in that fashion. We'll then implement our plan, and we'll continuously evaluate to make sure that we've actually made an impact. Some of the other community safety and involvement programs that we're involved with, we have officers who do a bicycle repair and replacement workshop every year in the Dorval community, where kids can come and have their bikes tuned up or parts replaced, that type of thing, so that we can help the kids get out there into healthy pursuits. Project Walkway, which is a project that we run in the area of our high schools. The HERO program is the high enforcement, no, I apologize, that's our high-risk offender program. Ride 101, which we run around Christmas time, generally speaking, where we go into the high schools, we talk to kids about their drinking habits and keeping them safe and not driving on the roads. Safe Prom, Project Safeguard, Road Watch, Neighborhood Watch. These are just a few of the community safety programs that we are involved in. And our community events, too many to name, but we'll just sort of sum it up by saying we have a number of road races, running races, that type of thing that are run each and every year here in Oakville. Obviously our Midnight Madness, our Canada Day event, our Ribfest event, which I believe was run last year for the first time, the Santa Claus Parade, and obviously, as I said, many, many more that we're actively involved in. And that's about all that I want to say before bringing the chief on. Open it to any questions if you have any.
Oh, you've elicited just a few. I'll start at the end. Councillor Adams.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you going through all those statistics. You mentioned the Joshua Creek break and enter events that we had earlier in the year. Could you provide a little bit more of an update with respect to more recent statistics on that and how the ongoing investigations are proceeding on some of those issues?
Yes, unfortunately, the residential break and enters have been a particular concern across the town. We certainly had an increase in the Joshua Creek area early in the year. They did drop off for a period of time, but they've basically spread through different areas of the town. We have a number of leads. There are a number of different organized groups that we believe are responsible for those entries. I know there have been some arrests made in other jurisdictions that are linked to our cases as well. So it is an ongoing investigation, as in numerous ongoing investigations, because there are a number of areas, and those of you that are in the Palermo area know that we've had a number in that area as well, as well as out in on Mississauga Street, out in the West End. There's been a number. So we are continuing to investigate with our partners in York and Peel at this current time.
Thank you. And you also alluded to the spring run-up of parks issues, and I'll call them loitering and other types of mischievous behavior that happen in our parks. Can you give us a little bit more description around how many members you have on your overall team working on that and how they get spread around?
Yeah, we are actually in the process right now of doing all of the analytical work to determine which parks we will target as a group. Basically what we do is put together a project plan, and then let's say it's a park in the east end of town, then the east officers in that area will all be engaged in that project, so that it won't just be one small team trying to hit all of the different parks. It will be numerous teams in each of the areas. Our district response team, along with our high school liaison officers and strategic, our SST, will also be putting together a team. They'll be on bikes going through different parks. So it really depends. There's not one specific team dedicated to it, although there is 6 people on the DRU, on the district response unit, that will be primarily responding to those concerns.
Thank you. And one last question on that particular issue of local mischievous loitering and that sort of thing. What's your message to residents around what they should do if they're experiencing that kind of thing? Please
call us at the time, because as you can imagine, we only have a certain number of resources to respond to all of the concerns in the town. And you know, you may be experiencing a concern in the East End, but our team happens to be focusing on the West End parks on that given evening. So if there are concerns, it is not, it's our job. That's what we're here to do. And we're very concerned about the quality of life of our residents. And if, you know, the loitering and the noise and the garbage is causing you concern, then please call us.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Councillor Khan.
Thank you very much. Just want to first start by thanking you, and I know I speak for Councillor Adams as well, is that you've always made yourself accessible, and same with Chief Tanner, and it's you've made community involvement an integral part of policing, and it's appreciated with by the residents. One of the things that I've noticed, and perhaps it's anecdotal, but one of the types of crimes that's very difficult to eradicate, and I just want your response on that, is gang-related crimes. Toronto has a huge issue. It's moved to Brampton. It's moved into Mississauga. Do we have any fears of that? Are there gangs in Oakville? Are there concerns that we should be addressing? Do we have plans, future plans to deal with issues like that?
Good question. Part of the focus of the strategic support team is to address concerns relating to drugs as well as guns. We do have dedicated drug and guns and gangs units. We haven't seen the huge surge of gang-related activity here. There are some sort of lower-level groups that call themselves gangs, but they're not organized in the same fashion as some of those groups. We certainly, our intelligence unit is on top of all of this, and certainly any information that we have of those groups coming into our area, will respond accordingly.
Councillor Dave Giddings.
Thank you very much for coming out this evening. In terms of, Councillor Adams was talking about some of the issues that we face with some of our residents. We have 3 closed schools and a lot of parkland in Ward 3. And I will often get calls fairly late in the night saying, just wanted to let you know, which I appreciate. Further, Councillor Adams, the number is 825-4747, if I recall off the top of my head, for the non-emergency number.
Actually, 4777. If you do 4747, you'll get the automated attendant, and that makes people very frustrated.
And that lasts somewhat longer. So could you just take us through the 911 versus non-emergency number so there isn't any confusion?
Yes. 911 calls are specifically for emergencies, life and death type emergencies. So, you've got a motor vehicle collision with injuries. You've got your home is being broken into as we speak, or you've come home to find your home broken into and you don't know if somebody's still in there. So emergency only for 911. The regular police number does put you through to our dispatch system, and as soon as we have officers available, they will be dispatched to attend to your concern. And again, everything is prioritized, but those types of calls that there's youths loitering in the park, or you've got a noisy party next door, please use the 825-4777 number. And for anything else that would be sort of a life or death emergency, that's what 911 is reserved for. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Just because it's fresh on my mind, and is 911 also the number you call if you think you're having a heart attack and you want to be transported to Trillium so that you have a 50% higher chance of surviving than if you drive yourself to the wrong hospital?
Very long question, and the answer is yes. 911 for any emergency, whether it's police, fire, or ambulance. Yes.
I have to do that commercial all the time because it's still not out there yet that really you have a much better chance of survival if you will follow that. Councillor Elgar?
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for coming tonight and presenting to us. I remember a few years ago at the region, we approved a budget for the regional police, which included a photo radar, where you would take the picture of the vehicle, the speed it was going, and also a letter would be sent, and it was all done automatically. Nobody had to be standing there. Whatever happened to that?
I'd love to look over my shoulder to the chief and say, Chief, do you know? Because I don't know the answer to that question.
Yeah,
He's talking about Speed Eye.
Yeah. My understanding is some of it gets into a confidentiality issue with some people, which frankly doesn't concern me as much. But when you're identifying a vehicle and you're not identifying the driver and then you're sending a letter to an address. We had, this is anecdotal because I was not here, but we had parents that were phoning saying thank you because now I know little Johnny was speeding. Little Johnny wasn't so happy about it. We've actually, we've been pursuing the Ontario government to make a variety of technological changes to the legislation to allow some police work and especially traffic enforcement to be done by technology again. So regardless of what you thought of photo radar itself, because there were mistakes and making it look like a tax type of thing at the time and charging people for very low levels of speed. But there's a lot of other enforcement that can be done. There's some here with red light cameras. So if we can do red light cameras, some speeding enforcement perhaps. In the City of Toronto, I know a big thing is illegal left turns. It's ridiculous to put an officer there, stop the car, back up more traffic, and then spend more money sending the officer to court to get the conviction than what the ticket is, and the cameras would do all of it. So we have been lobbying the current government through the Ontario Association of Chiefs of Police to allow some legislative changes to allow some of those things to happen.
Chief, I wish I had mentioned when I introduced you that you're the chief of the chiefs, aren't you?
Yeah.
Maybe you could explain that to council.
Well, this, there's a Ontario Association of Chiefs of Police is an organization that represents all police leaders in Ontario. So it's actually about 1,500 senior police leaders that are represented by the OACP. So it's chiefs, deputies, superintendents, inspectors, also a large number of civilian senior managers and directors. So we have 4 or 5 directors within our organization that are members of the OACP. And we are the voice of that group. And a lot of our work is in lobbying provincial and federal government, funding, adequate funding. Quite frankly, as the mayor and Councillor Knoll know, I speak quite often about the need for the Ontario government to bring some equity to how the funding formulas are working around the province, because it is not equitable for different municipalities, and we're hoping to have some leeway in there. One other major thing I just mentioned is prisoner transportation and court security is a large part of our budget, probably about $4 million a year. Toronto is about $78 million a year. And really, a lot of it is to pick up prisoners at a provincial institution, take them to a provincial court, sit with them and guard them all day and take them back at night. I've positioned with the province through our ministry and the Ministry of the Attorney General that ought to be a separate standalone provincial entity, ran more efficiently and at the province's cost.
Okay, back to my speed eye.
I would like to do it again.
What are exactly? What are we going to do? Because we definitely have issues throughout the town, and it seemed like a very, very simple way to at least alert people. Hey, you got some issues in whoever's driving your family vehicle. But is there anything we can do?
Yeah, I think the best thing for tonight is we'll go back and look at why it was canceled. I think there was a legal opinion in there somewhere, but we'll go back and have a fresh look at it.
I would appreciate that, because we get an awful lot of calls, and it's always speeding, and it's not people coming in from other municipalities to run down a little street. So, thank you.
So if you send the constituent a letter, it's probably the one who called you in the first place. Councillor Lapworth, you're next.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you both for your service to the region of Halton and more so to the town of Oakville. 3 very small points. The first one is concerning the vehicles passing school buses when the red lights are flashing. Could you just refresh everybody's memory as to exactly when you can and when you cannot do that?
Neither one of us has probably laid a charge in that regard in a number of years. But basically, if the stop arm is out and the lights are flashing, you cannot pass that vehicle. One of the things that we do is our Road Watch program, which kind of follows along the speed eye but doesn't deal with speeding necessarily. This is an area where we get a lot of letters from the community or complaints from the community, including those school bus drivers saying, here's a vehicle that passed me today when I had my stop arm out. They provide the license plate, and we do send letters out to the drivers of those vehicles. So approaching or coming from behind, when that stop arm is out, you can't pass the school bus.
But the arm has to be out.
Yes.
And I think one of the technicalities of that is the bus has to be stopped. So you will notice sometimes you're following a school bus, it's still traveling, and the lights are starting to flash. It is still legal to pass at that point. It's when it's stopped and the stop sign comes out and the arm comes out, then that's the technical end.
Great, thank you very much. Now, following on from that, have we successfully prosecuted people for passing the school buses?
No idea.
Again, I honestly don't know the answer to that because I haven't been in provincial offences court in a number of years.
Okay, the next one is, do you still attend false alarms for alarm systems that go off inadvertently at all hours of the day and night?
Yes, we do. It's a program that members of the public actually have to sign up for. Basically, if they've had too many false alarms, they can continue to receive police service, but they will be billed if there are false alarms after a certain number. But we still do respond to alarms.
Okay, and the amount you bill the constituent, does that really cover your cost?
To be honest, sir, I don't know what we're charging currently, so it would be hard to say whether it would cover our costs or not, because generally speaking, we send 2 officers to those calls, and depending on the amount of time that they have to spend at the residence, it's hard to guess at this point in time.
Okay, thank you. Now, you threw a lot of statistics at us earlier, and I assume they were all dry land statistics. Now, tell us about your marine unit.
Well, we have 3 boats that I know I'm proud of because I see them sitting in the Bronte Harbor, and I believe Councillor Robinson sees them down there. But we have one large rescue vessel. We have a sergeant and 4 full-time constables assigned to the unit. And a lot of the times in the Bronte or 16 Mile Creek, I would still always call it, we'll use our smaller boats. It's like a smaller Boston whaler, especially during some of the fall fish season. That'll patrol some of that. I just happened to meet with Sergeant Sandy, and there's one fly that likes us here, just the other day, who runs that unit. So they are out, our boats were the first ones in Bronte Harbor this spring, and I know they were the last ones out last fall. So they're there for rescue, they're there for the marinas, they're there for on-water enforcement of those sorts of boat safety regulations.
How do you coordinate that with our organization called Tow Wharf?
I know they have a connection, but I'm not sure how they coordinate. Tow Wharf has been around since I was born here, I think, in Oakville in 1960. So actually I follow them on Twitter, but they haven't talked to me yet. So we could follow up with how they work or if they cross-train. They were doing a training scenario, and they may not have done it yet, with our Marine unit and the Coast Guard, where the Coast Guard was actually with a helicopter going to deploy a member of the Coast Guard onto our boat while they were both moving, which is sort of the different way of our units working together and understanding how we work.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
Councillor Noel.
Thank you, Worship. I actually meant to ask this question at the Police Services Board the other day, but
Might be too late.
Yeah, well, I'm going to take the moment. You in your slide deck, there was mention of Safe Prom, which was in the Halton Happenings as well. And I meant to ask the question, it's a good opportunity to ask it tonight. Is there a corollary program for bush parties? I know that those of us who represent ravine communities, this time of year is when we start seeing more and more bush parties. Is there any kind of campaign to deal with patrolling particularly the creek areas to avoid those? Our constituents are quite vocal in their concern, particularly in the Neagawa area, where there's a little more, I guess, flatter terrain, more bush that is more, I guess, more ripe for that kind of activity. Is there any kind of campaign or plan to deal with that this year?
No, and I mean, certainly from my experience here too, not only in Oakville, but also in Burlington, I mean, bush parties are usually on a call-by-call basis when we are called. The big difference being the prom organizers tell us where they're going to be and what time they start, and usually who's going, so we can target them a little bit differently.
You can't get them to do that for the bush parties?
We could, perhaps through an Oakville bylaw, if we could.
What I can tell you is that our high school liaison officers here in Oakville are engaged in social media, and they actually get a lot of intelligence information through Twitter and Facebook about parties that are going on, and when they see that kind of information, then we put together a plan. We make sure that the platoon that's working that night knows about the planned party. But again, it's one of those things, if the kids post something on Twitter or Facebook and we're following them, we're going to respond to the area.
And there are patrols, though. I believe there's bike patrols through those areas, so
Yes.
Those who are thinking of planning one of these bush parties should be aware that they might be visited by a police officer on a bicycle.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much.
Anyone else? Oh, Councillor Robinson.
Thank you, Worship. Superintendent, I know the answer to this, and so does Councillor Johnson, but I would like you to explain to the public the reasoning behind removing the Bronte Village Constable from that position in Bronte.
Yeah, I can certainly do that. I feel like it's, I mean, we have to look at our staffing on an ongoing basis. For example, we're looking at right now, and you talk about some of these complicated investigations that are now before the courts, the ATM, the organized crime groups that are doing robberies, the drug investigations, and the increased staffing that we've put into drugs. Every time we do that, it's a $100,000 a year position. I really need to have a second mobile surveillance unit here in Halton probably next year. We could probably do that within our budget and by finding some people, not the Bronte Constable personally probably, but that position. Every one of them is so critical in that overall budget. And Bronte has changed quite a bit. You know, there were many years when I was here and when I was not here that Bronte was not the Bronte that it is now, with the development and the fine dining and the different things that are there bringing people. Now, while the Bronte Constable may not be sitting in that office at Compass and the restaurant place there, we have our Marine unit there. So they are there a fair bit. It's sort of a side gain for Bronte that I live close to there. So you actually get some chief bike patrol from time to time. And the people in that park are reasonably well behaved generally. But I haven't seen you there yet, so we'll wait. But we are, we just had to look at, can we justify a $100,000 a year position there, specifically in Bronte now, compared to the teams that are there all the time and the response units that can address particular problems, and had to make that decision.
Thank you, Chief. That was lots of fun for all of us. Councillor Khan, for another time.
Thank you, Worship. Chief, perhaps you can answer this, or maybe the superintendent. In my last year of law school, I actually sat in a ride-along program where I sat in the back of a cruiser for about a month. And much to your chagrin, I had to, for a whole month. And I actually...
Obviously, it wasn't in Halton because we let you sit in the front seat.
It was in Halifax. It was in Halifax. So, and the whole idea was that I was actually I'm a bit of a charter buff, so I was making note of charter breaches along the way and what the police force, as a systemic issue, were doing properly and weren't doing properly. And then you had to write a year-end paper. And I was astounded by how little the police force there knew about the charter, or actually how little regard they had for the charter. How is our view here in Halton about the charter, and how is our officers trained, and how well are they equipped to handle those charter issues? And do we keep records of matters that are dismissed administratively or judicially because there's some sort of charter breach?
So two complicated questions. I mean, first of all, the charter rights is paramount in all of Canada, and I know I would say tongue-in-cheek Halifax has been different over the years. So you could try a ride along again here. We do them. We do put you in the front seat, and actually, if any Oakville councillor would like to do that, we could arrange that on a day or a night shift, so you can actually see the technology in action and the officers. But they are trained on the charter. They're trained on what needs to and must be said to every individual, and we do a lot of diversity and sensitivity training, and we've actually moved from, what did we used to call it? Well, even the Friends of Simon Wiesenthal group still, I think, mistakenly call it Tools for Tolerance. And we've moved more to being inclusive now, because it's not just tolerating someone that's different, it's actually including them in the whole of society and all of the citizens that we deal with. So that's really the outlook that we try to parlay to all of the members here. I can say, I think I was just looking at the 2012 annual report is now available online at our website, so anyone can go and look at the full 2012 report online. It's available electronically. And probably of the 130,000 some odd calls for service and the thousands of tickets and the thousands of other interactions with the public, we had, I believe, 88 or somewhere between 88 and 100 public complaints that we dealt with. Most of those were not about charter rights. They were often they're about the officer spoke in a mean way to me when he or she gave me a ticket, as opposed to I wasn't given my rights and different things. There is a separate process in the through the Ministry of the Attorney General, and actually James Cornish, who used to be a Crown Attorney here, worked with all of us, is now the Assistant Deputy Minister. And he's put a Crown practice policy out to all Crown Attorneys that if there is a criminal trial going on and the judge makes comments of a nature alluding to either perjury or untruthfulness in court, then they have a systematic process that they go through so that they review that incident, they determine the validity of what the judge may or not have been thinking that day, and look into whether that needs to be investigated. So there's a bit of a process on the Attorney General side to deal with what may in some cases be charter issues.
All right. Thank you very much, Chief and Superintendent, for a very interesting report, and we look forward to seeing you again.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, Council. Our next matter is we're going to call on Nina DeVal to begin, and we have some delightful news in the award receiving category.
Thank you, Mayor Burton. Mayor Burton, members of council, I have the pleasure this evening of bringing to council 2 awards that the town has received from Parks and Recreation Ontario. The first award is to the town, and the second award was received by one of our staff in the Recreation and Culture Department. These awards were announced at the Parks and Recreation Ontario Awards Gala in April, and were presented to staff by the President of Parks and Recreation Ontario and the Honourable Michael Chan, Minister of Tourism, Culture and Sport. So I'd like to take the opportunity to present the first award to Council, and then Mayor Burton will be presenting the second award to our staff. Each year, Parks and Recreation Ontario honours excellence within the sector in 4 different areas: facility design, innovation, contribution to the sector, and leadership. I'm very pleased to announce that the town was awarded the Excellence in Design Award for the Queen Elizabeth Park Community and Cultural Centre. PRO recognized the unique attributes of this facility and how, by bringing together recreation, arts, and culture under one roof, it can contribute to the health, well-being, and development of individuals of all ages and the community. It also recognized the town's forward thinking in repurposing a former high school to create such a dynamic space, and the value of the extensive public consultation that resulted in so many new spaces that truly reflect the diverse needs of the community. Now, not that I want to brag on behalf of the town, but I would like to point out that the town over the last few years has constructed 2 new community facilities, very different ones, 16 Mile Sports Complex and Queen Elizabeth Park, and both of these facilities have received the Excellence in Design Award. So in relation to QEP, while the award is for Excellence in Design, it was Council's vision to create a unique blend of recreation and culture that set the stage for the design, and now I would like to present the award to Mayor Burton to accept on behalf of Council.
Now, it's my pleasure to bestow the award for Danielle Pierce for outstanding contributions to Parks and Recreation in Ontario. And this is the Emerging Leader Award. This is for young professionals under the age of 35. And in the case of Ms. Pierce, she's made a number of contributions to the success of our programs. And I just want to tell you a couple. She's the driving force behind our new children's summer camp program. And here's the good news, filled to capacity. So we had a wonderful insight into a community need, and the oversubscription of it is the proof that she was right. So congratulations on that. She's also the driving force behind a successful skate and rental program that we now have at River Oaks. So you Ward 5 councillors should probably come help me bestow the award on her. So why don't you? Now, we also have a number of, I think we have 4 listed delegations for this evening, and I'll ask the clerk, Kathy Best, to call the first delegation.
The first delegation is Dawn Rudman, Festival Chair and Curator, World of Threads Festival, and it would be regarding the Kiwi Park Community and Cultural Center year and operation report, which was item 2 on the Community Services Committee.
Welcome, Ms. Rudman. Council looks forward to your information.
Thank you. Okay. Good evening, Mayor Burton and councillors. My name is Dawn Rudman, and I am the Festival Chair and Curator of the World of Threads Festival. I am also on the executive of the Oakville Quilters Guild. Before I start, and by way of explanation, on the overhead in a little while, I have included some images that were taken at Kiwi Park during the World of Threads Festival, which was on in November and October of last year. I have included these in case you have not had an opportunity to visit the festival, and I wanted to show you how Kiwi Park is transformed through the inclusion of art. Before I do that, I personally would like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the staff of Kiwi Park, from Susan Finelli to Tanya DeRizio to Priya Nai, and each and every member of the operations staff, and also to Sarah Douglas Murray. During the 4 months of September through to December of last year, I was a regular feature at Kiwi Park. I was on the verge of being granted a parking spot. But jokes aside, working with the staff at Kiwi Park has been a pleasure. They were all extremely helpful, assisting in any way they could. They were a great help prior to, during, and after the festival. Going to get a little bit of help here. So I'm making this presentation tonight on behalf of the Oakville Quilters Guild, the Fibre Arts Shared Space Network, and the World of Threads Festival. I would like to start by saying that we are very pleased to have Queen Elizabeth Park as an art and culture venue in Oakville. The gallery, display area, and corridor galleries, as well as the front and back lounges, present wonderful opportunities to display a wide variety of artworks, be they wall or sculptural pieces or installation displays. We also took art outside and had installation pieces in the grounds of Kiwi Park. In addition, it is good to have the studio spaces and the various rooms that can be used for many purposes. The Oakville Quilters Guild, which will be celebrating its 20th anniversary come September, currently has a membership of 97. The Guild has started to use Kiwi Park for workshops. We recently held a workshop in the Fibre Arts Studio and have booked the same studio for a number of workshops for the fall and during the winter and spring of 2014. The Guild is a member of Kiwi Park. The Fibre Arts Shared Space Network is an umbrella group which integrating the Oakville Association of Knitters and Crocheters with 15 members, the Oakville Fibre Artists with 26 members, the Oakville Hand Weavers and Spinners Guild, which incidentally is the oldest fibre guild in Oakville with 20 members, the Oakville Sewers Forum with 20 members, and the Oakville Tapestry Studio with 6 members. So making a total number of 86 members in this network. This group was the first renter at Kiwi Park. They started using the facility in January 2012 when it was still under construction. For Festival 2012, the World of Threads Festival had 21 exhibitions, 11 of which were in Oakville, and 4 of these exhibitions were held at Kiwi Park. Work from 196 local, national and international artists were on display. The 2012 festival attracted over 6,000 visitors. The World of Threads is a member of the Oakville Arts Council and a member of Kiwi Park. The precursor to the festival started with single exhibitions in Oakville in 1994 and 1996. The first festival took place in 1998. Over the years since then, the festival has grown and is now a recognized and acknowledged international festival of contemporary fiber art. Based in Oakville, it has become a hub for fiber artists around the world. We currently have subscribers from all 10 Canadian provinces and 2 of the Canadian territories. We also have subscribers from 57 countries on 6 continents. The only continent we are missing is Antarctica, but I'm working on that one. As I mentioned, the World of Threads Festival, which is Oakville-based, has become a hub for fiber artists around the world. And now the people and groups I am representing tonight want to make Kiwi Park an art and culture hub in Oakville. Borrowing from the Field of Dreams, if you build it, he will come. It has been built. Now we need to move forward to take the next step and have the people come. We would like Kiwi Park to be a vibrant place where artists want to congregate, where they can come and work on a regular basis, where there are open studios with regular published and designated days and times which can be used by members, with affordable Kiwi Park membership and drop-in fee for usage of open studio or open room space, where artists can gather in a dedicated area for creative discussion, cross-pollination and innovation, where there can be artist-in-residence programs in a variety of disciplines, where there are, for example, regular artist talks, presentations and/or panel discussions on a variety of related topics and media, where there is regular access to quiet rooms available to artists for reading, writing or study, a place that attracts visiting artists, and where members of the public know they can visit to see art and art being created. We would like to have a voice in how Kiwi Park and the Oakville arts and culture sector of the town moves forward. We would like to be recognized for the value we bring to Oakville, for the contribution the artistic community makes to the quality of life in Oakville, and for the economic benefits we bring to the town. To quote Mayor Burton, "I have seen myself how arts events build the profile of our town for tourism. I have been impressed with how the World of Threads Festival is attracting submissions from all over the world. We want to be involved at a strategic level. We want to play a part in determining what success is like for the artists and art organizations in the town. We want to have a say in bringing forward a funding strategy to support creative activity throughout Oakville. In partnership with the town, we want to play a role in decision-making for the arts sector. We want to be included in the development of a marketing strategy that supports the arts community. In essence, and I've gone a little bit quicker than the photographs, and in closing, we are advocating for an artist-driven governance model, one that is similar to that of the seniors governance model, which is already successfully in operation in Oakville. Thank you for this opportunity to address the council. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your contributions and your information tonight, and for making Oakville proud. Appreciate it. Are there questions? Thank you very much. Clerk, would you call the next delegation?
The next delegation, again on the Kiwi Park Community and Cultural Center year-end operation report, is Madison Leeson on behalf of the Oakville Youth Arts Council.
Good evening, welcome. Council looks forward to your information.
Hello. Good evening, my name is Madison Leeson, and I'm the founder and current chair of the Oakville Youth Arts Council at Kiwi Park. So I've also come to address the need for an artistic governance model at the Queen Elizabeth Park Community and Cultural Center. An artistic governance model at Kiwi Park would provide local artists of all ages and disciplines with a designated creative space, the freedom to develop arts programming and activities, a funding strategy, and a marketing strategy. Oakville's artists would like to be recognized for the value they bring to our community in economy, quality of life, and sense of identity. We want to ensure that the town is tapping into Oakville's artistic creativity by including artists at a strategic level. To do this, artists need to feel welcomed and recognized as a valuable asset in town planning. As outlined on page 6 of the town's cultural plan, there's a strong call from the town to acknowledge that it understands the importance of culture to the community's future, and that strategic partnerships consist of the need, interest, and capacity among arts groups, businesses, and community leaders to work with one another and the town to advance shared goals in creativity and culture. This will contribute to the broader concepts of accessibility, social cohesion, artistic merit, cultural traditions, and creative influence. The first project with a model of artistic governance will be designating a place for artists to assemble. A space like this would encourage cross-pollination, creative discussion, cultural accessibility, and innovation. Artists need a space larger than the Oakville Arts Council office, but more casual than a meeting room. The Oakville Youth Arts Council was formed in part to accommodate those who don't have a space like this in the community. At Kiwi Park, the Youth Center is open to students under the age of 16, and although the Arts Council serves artists of all ages, it doesn't have a meeting place for artists under 18. Oakville's Youth Arts Council is working towards bridging this gap, and we would like artistic governance at Kiwi Park to integrate together both emerging and established artists within a creative space. This model will also give Oakville artists a voice in artistic strategy with the town, not just at the programming level, but by being involved throughout the process from start to finish. Oakville's arts and culture activities must be designed to meet the united needs of Oakville's artists and arts organizations. This means that together with the town, artists are a part of determining what success looks like and uniting expectations of success for Oakville's arts and culture sector. The Oakville Youth Arts Council provides emerging, student, and youth artists with the support they need to plan the events they want. Our first 2 events, a coffee house and an art battle, reached almost 2,000 people in the community and empowered young musicians, performers, and artists with the programming they need in order to grow. The council provides young people with opportunities to plan arts events and determine what they believe to be successful. However, we can't plan these events or develop programming without a funding strategy to support creative activity throughout the town. This strategy would at least need to include program share, community arts fundraisers, and the growth of cultural grants programs. Page 24 of the town's cultural plan states an objective of supporting community arts and cultural organizations by connecting them to community resources and facilitating collective fundraising efforts. The Oakville Youth Arts Council organizes our events to be fundraisers, and we can then use that money to run future events. But the council wouldn't have been able to take off without the support of the Oakville Arts Council and Kiwi Park. And without a funding strategy in place to support new programming and arts activities, who knows what other amazing opportunities within arts and culture will be cut, postponed, or unable to take off simply because they lack the resources. Finally, artists and arts organizations in Oakville need a marketing strategy to support the arts and culture sector. The town of Oakville needs to show its commitment to the arts by collaborating with the Oakville Arts Council, the Oakville Youth Arts Council, and other organizations to encourage residents to become more active in local arts and culture activities. This marketing strategy should promote arts groups, classes, shows, programs, and individuals, and should help organizations build their memberships and programs. The Oakville Youth Arts Council uses a social media marketing strategy and a direct marketing strategy to reach the emerging student and youth artists that we want on the council and participating in our events. The Oakville Arts Council also supports us with their network and marketing, but there is still a need for a unified network of artists and arts organizations that work to promote each other in a Town of Oakville supported marketing strategy. In order to ensure that Oakville is Canada's most livable town, our arts and culture sector needs to be rich and growing, and there's no better way than to ensure an artistic governance model at the Queen Elizabeth Park Community and Cultural Centre. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Councillor Johnston has a question for you.
Thank you, Madison. It's not a question, Mayor, it's more a comment. Thank you, Madison, for coming out to share your thoughts with us tonight. But more importantly, thank you for all you do to engage the youth in Oakville in arts pursuits in town and promoting Queenie Park. Thank you.
And on the other side, there's another question from Councillor Adams.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the depth of your discussion. At committee last week, we had a very long discussion about all of the matters going on at QE Park. But the one that I find most interesting is the artist-driven model discussion that's going on, and our staff are still trying to work their way through that with the Arts Council and with the other user groups. What, in your opinion, are you comfortable with what we're doing right now in those discussions, or is there something different that we need to contemplate or work harder at to tweak what we're doing to fit better?
I'm comfortable with the town support that we have now and the support of the Arts Council and everybody at QE Park. I just want to bring forward the need for this model, and I know we're working towards it, and I feel like we're working forwards at a steady pace, and we will get there, but it's important to me that we do get there.
Thank you for reiterating that. I fully believe in what we're talking about, and I just wanted to make sure that everybody's comfortable with how we're doing it, the pace we're working at it, and that we're talking about the right things, that we're not missing anything. So thank you again.
Thank you.
I appreciate the discussion. Very valuable.
Thank you very much for coming. Madam Clerk, would you call the next delegation?
Excuse me. The next delegation is Gemma Hagerman from Art House, again regarding the QE Park Community and Cultural Center year-end operations report.
Welcome. Welcome, Art House.
Thank you, Your Worship and members of Council. On behalf of my colleague and founder, Don Pangman, our Board of Directors, over 100 volunteers, 16 instructors, and the 500 children aged 7 to 11 that we serve, I thank you for this opportunity to show our support for QE Park Community and Cultural Center. Over the last 4 years, Art House has provided cost-free after-school Saturday, March break, and summer arts programs to our young participants in up to 15 locations throughout the Oakville community. More recently, we introduced our front-of-the-line program registration policy, which welcomes children from families that could not access arts programs if there was a fee involved. We are very pleased to report that close to 85% of our registrants, or nearly 425 front-of-the-line recipients, will be participating in our programs this year. We know of no other programs like these in our community and are very proud to offer them to children who might not otherwise have the chance to participate in the arts. Last October, we began our partnership with QEP, initiating an Art House Chorus of Voices after-school program with 20 young children registered and led by music director Janice Morrow. And earlier this year, we implemented a 6-week after-school program called Art House Crafty Kids Fiber Arts Program with fiber artist Excel Suarez, president of the Oakville Handweavers and Spinners Guild, as our instructor. Each of our programs has an end goal, and with our fiber arts program, our children helped complete this banner that we have here tonight. Art House also participated in QEP's Family Day in February, and we are very pleased to provide a cost-free March break program over the 5 days, which offered a combination of yoga and fiber arts. This program was oversubscribed beyond our normal enrollment of 20 children per program. Earlier this month, in partnership with Oakville Galleries, we implemented our Art House Redfish Bluefish Creative Arts program at QEP. We sincerely appreciate the opportunity to not only offer our programs at QEP, but as well to work closely where possible with instructors like Excel from arts organizations that may also be using QEP facilities. We will continue to look for appropriate collaborations with other arts organizations and make it very clear to each of our instructors that we value their educational skills and their ability to nurture our young children. We offer honorariums to all of our instructors. We are a charitable organization, and we rely on the generosity of our community to support our programs and our instructors. And finally, we also made use of the wonderful Black Box Studio at QEP for our first Art House Festival Series concert in February, showcasing Annie Zhu, an exceptional National Prize winner with Canadian Music Competition. It was a spectacular evening with close to 200 guests attending. During the intermission, Art House also had the opportunity to proudly display the artwork from some of our budding young artists. So in closing, we are extremely grateful to Nina Duval, Sue Finelli, Sarah Douglas Murray, Lori Coletta, and other members of the QEP staff for our partnership. Our Art House door is always open to discussion with arts groups throughout the community to help us lead our future artists and performers in our programs. So thank you. Job well done at QE Park.
Thank you very much for coming. I just on behalf of council, I want to say how proud all of us are to see how many of our arts groups are blossoming in the new facility, the unique facility of Queen Elizabeth Park Community Cultural Center. It really is making us proud, and we appreciate very much you being here tonight.
Thank you. We're happy to be in QEP.
Oh, Councillor Grant, sorry.
Thank you. And just on a larger note, I want to thank Art House for everything that you do for the community and the kids in general. I know that a lot of, including my own daughter, of course, a lot of people in the community enjoy the fact that they can have access to arts for their children at low cost or even free most often. So I think it's fantastic the way that you're getting kids connected to the arts and make them future youth group leaders and future Oakville Arts Council leaders. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, is there another delegation?
And the last delegation for this evening is Bill Smith, President of the Oakville Arts Council, again regarding the QE Park Community and Cultural Center year-end report.
President Smith, welcome. Council looks forward to your information.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Burton and councilors. My name is Bill Smith, and I'm the president of the Oakville Arts Council Board of Directors. And I thank you for this opportunity to speak to you once again on behalf of the Oakville Arts Council. As you know, the Oakville Arts Council is a strategic partner with the town, working to support a vibrant, active, and sustainable cultural community. We are pleased to have our office located at QEP, being a part of the artistic development and creative osmosis at the center. That's for you, Kathy. That was a big word for you. You like that. The Arts Council participates on each of the working group committees at QEP and meets bi-weekly with the town's senior manager of cultural services and QEP staff to foster communication between the town and the greater arts sector of Oakville. Now in our 35th year, the Oakville Arts Council continues to act as arts sector advocate and community connector to the many arts disciplines, arts activities, and events in town. We have a membership of more than 200 arts organizations, individuals, and patrons of the arts, which roughly represents more than 3,000 people participating in advancing the arts in Oakville. Our arts calendar of events hosts more than 300 events each year. We support our many not-for-profit groups, businesses, and individual artists to ensure their creativity and arts activity is recognized and valued as an essential aspect of a vibrant, innovative, and livable community. Since August 2011, we have encouraged the town to work with the Oakville Arts Council to discuss artistic governance at QEP. While we've been working very closely with town staff on our legal agreement with the town, and at that point I would like to thank Nina and Sarah and Gord for their great help. It's been a great exercise. We haven't gotten to the detailed conversation on the artistic governance. We strongly feel that a structure needs to be put in place as soon as possible. As I paraphrase from the operational report, to ensure stakeholders and partners are participating in open dialogue that results in greater responsiveness around the provision of programs and services, efficiencies and effectiveness measures, and building an innovative team in the context of QEP. We believe that now is the perfect time for Oakville's artists to have a voice in how we move forward. We note, though, that this does not mean bringing personal agendas or needs to the table, but rather contributing to the broader concepts of accessibility, social cohesion, artistic merit, best practices, cultural traditions, and creative influence. We truly appreciate the town's efforts to develop QEP, and we fully believe in a mutually supportive relationship. As the representative for our members, we have heard the message that Oakville artists are looking for a cultural hub or a go-to place for creative people. We believe that an artist-driven governance model at QEP would contribute to the achievement of our collective goals. The status of Ontario's Artists Act states, artist creativity enables the arts and culture sector to innovate, grow, and remain competitive. We want to encourage the town to tap into Oakville's artistic creativity by including artists at a strategic level. To do this, artists need to feel welcome and recognized as a valuable asset in town planning. We draw a parallel to the senior governance model that is already successfully at work within the town structure. So why are we supporting the artistic governance model? Well, you've heard most of these points already because this is what we're being told. So, as was already mentioned, artists want to have a voice in the artistic strategy within the town. Artists need a dedicated place to assemble. We believe it's time for a funding strategy to support creative activity within QEP, and we encourage a joint marketing strategy to support QEP. As summarized in the QEP year-end operational report, we're excited that QEP staff are committed to working with the arts and cultural community to enable development. The QEP working group, as a collaborative between the town and the cultural community, did an excellent job in creating the initial operating plan with a strong vision and guiding principles. We were disappointed to see this committee dissolve with only 3 active working committees operating, some of them in silos. We hope the town will establish an artistic governance committee that can help provide the support that the initial working group did collaboratively developing QEP. So that's all I have to say. Thanks very much. I'd be happy to try to answer any questions you have, and if I can't answer them, my friend Megan behind me will.
Well, you won't have to wait long. Councillor DeMoss.
Thank you very much for coming out. Thank you to everyone who came out. I'm a little confused. I wish all of you had come out to the Community Services Committee meeting because we did get a presentation on this.
Yep.
And the artistic-driven model, when we asked Nina about it, she didn't know exactly what it was. And I did ask if it was based on the seniors center type model and was told that no, that wouldn't work at QE Park. So can you explain to me what exactly the artistic-driven model is? Because we didn't have anyone there to explain it the other night.
Well, I would say that at this point, you know, what we want to do is work with town staff in determining what that actually is. I mean, we don't want to dictate what it is. We want to work together. I mean, we're working together so well on other facets of QEP, and you know, a lot of the former barriers have you know, gone away, and you know, there's a lot of great transparency now, and you know, the relationship has really improved immensely. So we want to work with town staff on doing that. Well, I guess our point is, whatever it might look like, we want to move it along so that you know, it's not taking any longer than it has.
Okay, so one of the things that came up at the meeting, though, and the reason it hadn't been done is that I understood there was a difficulty in getting everyone together to have this discussion. So maybe you can clarify that, but that was, I believe, what the conversation was at Community Services Committee, that it was hard to get everyone together to have this discussion.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. I think the response that I was making at the time was in relation to the discussions we've been having about the agreement, and we have a lot of very busy people that we're trying to get together to have these discussions. We've had some very, very fruitful discussions thus far, but just trying to find a time where we're all together. I think our next meeting is 20th of June or sometime towards the end of June. And it's through that process that we want to have these discussions. So we're working, focusing on the agreement right now, and we have a number of things that we have to get accomplished at our next meeting. But it's through this process, and these individuals, 2 board members, Megan, Gord Lalonde, our staff here as well, it's that group that is looking at both the agreement and will be addressing the artist-driven model. But it is hard to get everybody together.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. Further to that point, sorry, I'll just speak through to staff for a moment. Have you got an indication as to what the target date you're trying to work towards? Like, I can appreciate it's been problematic trying to get everybody together, but I'm just a little concerned how open-ended it sounds and that there isn't a specific date that's been targeted for completion.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we would like to have this completed over the next couple of months, so early fall. We haven't actually collectively talked about a target date, but I suspect it'll probably be challenging to get together to have more than one meeting over the summer months. But I think we're all very anxious to get this before council as soon as possible.
Okay, having heard from the delegation, obviously, they're extremely keen to get this underway, and I can appreciate that, as is staff. You had mentioned the joint governance, that you had were somewhat disappointed that that had no longer proceeded. Can you provide council with some insight as to what the advantages of having such a sort of joint governance model or group overseeing QE Park would assist your groups?
You must tackle that one.
First, let me try to correct a possible misperception. We've never had a joint governance of Queen Elizabeth Park. That would be a bit of a misnomer. But maybe you can pick it up there.
I think initially with the development of the operating plan with QEP, it was done in a collaborative fashion where a number of community groups were at the table in the town, and really we were shaping what success would look like. What the vision would be, what the guiding principles, and there was a real team environment, so community with town. And in that, there was the recommendation to, once that group had set that vision, that we would then go to these working groups. And there were I think there were 5 working groups that were developed. 3 are active right now. So we've got the Interior Design Committee, we've got the Programming Committee, and we've got the Special Events Committee. Now and the Oakville Arts Council sits on each committee, but what we're finding is that the community is no longer a part of shaping what success is. So what does success look at QE Park? So this report has come to council, and the parameters of the measurements for success aren't collaborative any longer, I think is the feeling. It is now the town that is determining the success, what success looks like, what the stats are that need to be met, and the community no longer has input into that process. Where does the arts fit into that? So there are collaborative things at the working bottom level, but what about the discussions of should we be looking at having international artists into the building? How do we start to foster engagement with the community? Not just from, this is town programs, this is grassroots programs. These are the guilds we have there. This is the Youth Council, the Youth Arts Council, who's involved with trying to integrate the high schools. How do we begin to have this dialogue, which is not we need to have 6 people, we need 6 time slots, we need to, we need to rent this space for this amount of time and pay this amount of money. No, the strategic discussions of what do Oakville artists want to see in partnership with the town. We're not having that discussion.
Thank you very much.
Councillor Grant and then Councillor Elgar.
Thank you. And again, it is too bad that you weren't able to make it last Tuesday, because that discussion would have shaped rather differently from what's turned out. During Mr. Smith's discussion, you'd mentioned working in silos, these 3 groups. Is it possible that perhaps there could be a representative from each one of these groups to form that larger committee that you're looking for?
I think that's exactly what we're looking for.
And then, of course, they could work in tandem with town staff.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think any future questions I would be for staff, so thank you.
Councillor Elgar?
Thank you for coming tonight. I guess we try to do committee work at committee and not at council. And I guess my question is, why did no one from, like your side, come to our committee meeting to really get into the details of this and try to get it sorted out so that we're moving forward in a timely fashion and also all together?
I think, if, do you want me to?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, personally, I wasn't even available, but yeah.
I think it's still, from my perspective anyways, trying to understand how it works at Town Hall. And I think one of the beauties with looking to do a formalized legal agreement with the town is really, and one of the beauties of having Ray Chisholm working with the Arts Council is we're beginning to see these pieces of when we're supposed to come. And traditionally, the Arts Council comes to council. And so usually it's around the budget season, and we come and we say our annual pitch towards more funding for the arts. We're trying to learn the processes of town as well. So I think, especially in hearing, why weren't you at the community service? Oh, well, we should have been at community services first then. I think this is learning for us. One of the things we certainly didn't want to miss out on is we knew this report was coming to council, and we wanted to make sure that what we have been talking about over the last couple of years isn't lost. We still are hearing from our artists, from our arts groups, that this dialogue we should be having this dialogue. What it looks like, we don't have those answers. We want to develop those answers together. What we don't want it to be is the town comes up with all the answers, or the Arts Council comes up with all the answers, or this group comes in and comes up with these answers. We want a collective plan, strategic, artistic plan.
Well, on behalf of council, let me sum it up this way. When you've got some answers, we'd be happy to see you at Community Services Committee. And I recommend that you develop those answers in consultation with staff. And to do that, you're going to have to meet with them.
Yep.
And I bid you Godspeed with that.
Fair enough.
Any others?
Well, I wasn't quite
Councillor
finished. I didn't realize I was done.
Sorry, I thought you were. Please continue.
What I would like to know, what do you want us to do tonight so that we are moving forward?
Well, we just wanted to make sure that we made this presentation just so that, as Megan just said, it's out there and people are aware of it, and we're looking forward to moving along with town staff. We just want to do it as quickly as possible, and that's really.
What do you want? Like, you've made the presentation. You know in your mind what you want. What do you want us to do with the report tonight? And what recommendation do you want in the report tonight that will help us direct staff to work with you? So that we can work together.
Go ahead.
I don't feel that the artist-driven concept needs to fold into a legal agreement with the Arts Council. I think the role of the Arts Council and the relationship the Arts Council has with the town doesn't have to coincide with whatever the artistic governance model is at QEP. The Arts Council may not even be in that equation. I think we would have representation in that, but it's not led by the Arts Council or led by the town. I don't think those discussions I don't think the artist-driven concept has to wait for the legal agreement, in other words. So I guess if you're asking what we would like, we'd like to maybe speed up having the artist governance conversation.
To run at the same time.
It doesn't have to fold into the legal agreement with the Arts Council.
Well, are you going to be able to meet on the 20th to have that conversation?
June 20th, are we talking?
Yeah. Are you having a meeting?
Oh, you mean the next
Is that on June 20th?
legal agreement meeting?
For you, Mr. Mayor, I'm not sure if that's the exact date. It's around that time, but I think everybody has confirmed that meeting.
Yep.
For the legal agreement.
All right, so Do we understand correctly that you're happy with Queen Elizabeth Park, you're looking forward to working with staff on these discussions, and you wanted us to know that you really, really, really want this model, whatever it will turn out to be? Okay, Councillor Duddick?
Thank you, through you. Just want to clarify, I don't want a misunderstanding, especially to the viewers at home. You have been trying to meet with staff on an ongoing basis, have you not? And you've been quite anxious to meet with staff on an ongoing basis. I just didn't want that left, that we were asking something that you haven't already been trying to do.
Right.
Thank you.
We've been meeting on the legal agreement, yes.
I think it's been folded into the legal agreement, but it doesn't have to be. Yeah. Is that what we're...
Yeah.
First, I want to make sure Councillor Elgar was done. Were you done?
I'm finished.
I guess I have a question for you and a question for staff. Have you had any discussions on the governance model yet?
Only in relation to, we'll have those discussions with our legal agreement. So this can be all wrapped into, while we're sorting out the legal agreement, we'll put the artist-driven concept in with that. But we haven't had any conversations to the depth of what we're talking about.
So do you have an idea of what you want? Because I seem to get a name for a governance model, but no one seems to be able to say what it is. Staff can't describe it, you can't describe it, so I'm a little confused as to what you're looking for and when.
So the basics of it is just, we want to come to the table and have that discussion so that we can see what's possible from the town's perspective, and we can say what's possible from the community perspective, and really explore, is it possible to have an artist's lounge, for instance, like we have a seniors lounge or a youth lounge? Is that possible? Well, what kind of activity could take place there? How can we make that work? Do we need to do some fundraising to make that possible? Is there an opportunity where we can look at, how does the Arts Council market? Well, what's the town doing to market? Well, how can we integrate this to make marketing more effective for the community to engage in the artistic activity at QEP? So there's certainly pieces we want to explore, but we haven't sat down to have that discussion.
Okay, because on last week as well, there was a fairly lengthy discussion on the marketing and the plans that were in the works, and how staff are looking to enhance the marketing and include you. So again, it was part of the presentation that we got. So when you've discussed the legal agreement, this has not been you haven't had any discussions on what kind of model?
No, no.
Okay.
We're really just looking at our collective vision between the town and the Arts Council, what it means, what culture means to both parties, what is the role of each party involved, really just the basics of what does the Arts Council do, and how is the town involved in culture now, and how can we integrate? Not at QEP, because the Arts Council is not QEP, the Arts Council is the whole community, and we're trying to integrate and connect many activities that are happening. But what we do want to make sure is that because QEP is such a fantastic space, how do we integrate more artists there? How do we integrate more groups? How do we build memberships for these groups? How do we bring in the high schools? How can we do that collectively?
So I wonder if staff could address what the process is going to be in terms of the memorandum and the governance model, and where we're going with that.
Go ahead.
Yes, I'm going to take a crack at answering your question. We have had, I think, several very, very good meetings with the Oakville Arts Council, and part of the difficulties that I think we have to overcome is understanding what it is that we need. We're trying to work through an understanding of what is the contribution that the Oakville Arts Council can make, and what is the contribution that the town can make. The term legal agreement, I think, sometimes is a little bit off-putting, but for me, a legal agreement is something that lends clarity to what it is you're talking about. You have to work through the issues, you have to define them, and you have to be able to write them down. And we're working through the elements of that. We're working through them as quickly as we can. I think there's high motivation on behalf of the Oakville Arts Council and on behalf of staff to get through this as quickly as we can. We were all disappointed that we didn't finish it off this spring. But schedules being what they are, we just were not able to convene enough meetings to work through these issues. And they are fairly interesting and difficult issues to work through. It's hard to articulate. I mean, I think in one of our meetings we had discussed, we all want to have a vibrant arts community in Oakville. The town side does, and the Oakville Arts Council does. We agree on that 100%. So what can we lend each other to help us take that agenda forward? And we're working through that. And in the context of a legal agreement, I have faith that we will define all of those things in language that's understandable to all of our parties. So I don't like to think of it so much as a legal agreement as an agreement. And we're working through that as quickly as we can with, I think, as much goodwill as we can. I think we're doing very, very well. We're not going as fast as we all want to.
Councillor Grant?
Thank you. Through Mr. Mayor, and actually this is a question to staff that I'd alluded to earlier, and I'll sort of throw it out there so maybe we can show on it a bit. I know that Councillor Fred Oliver is never a fan of doing committee work at council, and we are getting really deep into this issue now. So I'm just wondering if it would not be to the benefit of the CSC committee, or CSC, to perhaps, when this agenda item comes up, table it, and then perhaps reopen it with the arts groups there at the next CSC meeting, because it looks like there's different levels of engagement that we need to go through and really understand to make a proper decision. And given that the agreement was just to receive, I don't think we're on any deadline or concern as to what we're doing with the actual motion itself. So I'll throw that out there for consideration if staff have comment, or if you have
Councillor, I studied the report, and I've listened to the amorphous discussion that we've had here tonight. I don't think there's anything lost by proceeding to adopt the report. These discussions have not proceeded to any kind of detail. We've questioned now for quite a long time, and all we have is vague expressions of wishes. I think it's clear that we have to proceed as staff recommend on the item. I think it's really clear. And staff and the arts group will have to have their discussions. And it looks to me like sometime later this fall, we'll be able to have something in front of us to consider. But in the meantime, we need to run the facility. So I would oppose any delay on the item. And I don't believe the Arts Council really wants us to delay that item. They just wanted to come and tell us how much they hope that we'll eventually have an artist-driven model, if I'm quoting that correctly. Is that right?
Yes.
Thank you. Councillor Robinson?
Thank you, Your Worship. I think it's been pretty well covered, but I was going to ask Mr. Lalonde exactly what we might expect to receive as a council subsequent to the meeting. We're not sure if it's the 20th of June or whenever it is, but I think that's key. That's very important. We as a council need to know more than what we've just heard tonight, which isn't really that much other than a bit of a wish list. We can't move forward without some more facts.
Yeah, I think you're underlining the challenge that we're facing. The meeting is actually on the 19th. It will not be the end. We won't work through it all on the 19th. We will work as far along as we can. And in keeping with Nina's remarks, sometime this fall, we hope to bring a report to council that includes an agreement that is very articulated, and it defines what is an artist-driven model, which we all agree we have to address, but we're having a little trouble defining exactly what that means, along with a number of other specific issues, roles, responsibilities, accountabilities, participation, and so on. And we'll be bringing that back to council through CSC as soon as is possible, which we think is probably this fall.
So is that agreement then, Gord, something that we could have in our possession to look at probably more than 3 days before the CSC meeting? I mean, this could be a big event. It's culture and community involved here, and I'd want to have a good, hard look at it before we started debating it.
We can easily table it an extra meeting ahead. You know, I think I want to emphasize that in my experience, and I'm a new player, I was brought into this because I was a new player. It's been a very positive relationship, and I think quite a collegial development. So when we bring our agreement forward, barring some catastrophe, it will be an agreement that, you know, all of the parties will want ratification of, and we will certainly give it to you in a timely way, maybe table it and then leave it out there for a
Thanks, Your Worship.
Councillor Demoff.
I was just going to ask if for some reason we don't have an agreement done in the fall, if we could get an update to come to CSC and let us know where the agreement stands, and the arts groups could come back and do these kind of presentations at the Community Services Committee. But regardless of whether that agreement is done or not, if we could just get an update on where it stands if it's not completed.
Thank you, Councillor. I think you've exhausted the questions now. Thank you very much for attending and for your information. All right, Council, that brings us to our standing committee reports, and I'll look to you, Councillor Elgar. Councillor Elgar moves the Community Services and the Administrative Services Committee reports. I need a seconder. Councillor Giddings. All those in favor? Opposed, if any, and those are adopted. We have no consent items, public or confidential, but we do have a discussion item being the Oakville Hydro Quarterly Report and our annual general meeting, the appointment of auditors, the approval of the 2012 financial statements, the appointment of directors and board chair, and bylaw approval. And you have a report from the Commissioner of Corporate Services. Mr. Commissioner, would you like to synopsize your report for council and the public?
I think probably the easiest way to do that is invite Jim Collins to make a brief presentation to you, who's here to speak on behalf of all of their elements.
Mr. Jim Collins, the Chief Financial Officer of Oakville Hydro. As you know, Council, the CEO has had a health event which prevents him from attending tonight. Mr. Collins, welcome and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Council, for opportunity to present this short presentation for the AGM for Oakville Hydro. I'm just going to try and open this. I'll let you. Thank you. Our CEO, Mr. Lister, would have liked to have been here this evening, but due to unforeseen circumstances, he can't make it. He is doing very well and continues to be involved in the operation of the management of Oakville Hydro. So we just want to collectively continue to wish him well. I'd also like to introduce members of the board and management of Oakville Hydro. I'm sure people know him already, but we have Mr. Gary Burkett, chair of the board. Mr. John Mitchell, he's the chair of the Finance and Audit Committee. Marie Oswald is a director. We also have Mike Brown, our COO. Scott Moody, the VP and General Manager of Renewable Generation and Energy Services. It's a mouthful. Julie Millington, our VP of Customer Service and Organizational Development. Terry Crawford, he's our head of Alcon Construction. And also Vivek, I always miss his name, Radhakrishnan, our corporate secretary. Did I get that right, Vivek? Thank you. Oakville Hydro is built on a strategic plan, and this is a summary of the plan. Critical elements of it are the strategic imperatives at the bottom, which includes the profit, service, people, and community. And that's consistent throughout our operation of all the companies involved in Oakville Hydro. Currently, the key organizations and companies involved, we've got the corporation is the parent company of which the town of Oakville is a single shareholder. The LDC, which is Oakville Hydro Electricity Distribution Company, it actually provides the electricity for our residents. We have the Utility Constructions and Locate Company, Elcon Construction. And then we have Energy Services, which is the company that includes Sandpiper, Golden Horseshoe, Sandpiper Generation, and so forth. Some of the highlights from 2012 for Oakville Hydro collectively is the Glen Orkey Transformer Station. It received the 2012 Engineering Project of the Year by the Ontario Society of Professional Engineers. Our Staying Alive Safety Program received the Canadian Public Relations Society Pinnacle Award in 2012. As you're well aware, we assisted our neighbors to the south at Hurricane Sandy relief efforts. We're consistently involved in the conservation and demand management programs throughout Oakville. And we also have had a number of acquisitions this year. The acquisitions would be for the hot water tank portfolios and home comfort portfolios for Norfolk, Brant, and Halton Hills. We integrated the St. Catharines and Hamilton portfolio that we purchased at the end of 2011. And also this year we were involved in another acquisition that in 2012 we sourced and negotiated one for the St. Thomas, which we closed in 2013. The Hurricane Sandy relief, we sent a team of 9 individuals down into Long Island, New Jersey, and to help their community recover from that devastating storm down there. This was a separate presentation that we did earlier on in the year, and it certainly was a very large event for us at Oakville Hydro. In our own community, we've been involved in a number of different activities as well. To name a few, we've been involved in the Santa Claus Parade, food drives. We have education programs at our schools, Thomas T.A. Blakelock, and other elementary schools with respect to safety. We've also been participating in the Terry Fox Run and a number of other activities throughout the year. Having a look at our LDC specifically, Oakville Hydro is the 13th largest LDC in Ontario. At the end of April 2013, we served 65,000 customers over 143 square kilometers of area. We, in 2012, we had electric consumption of about 1,600 gigawatt hours of power consumption. Certainly a large amount. We have approximately 14,000, I believe it's 14,000 kilometers of power, which is about the equivalent of power lines, which is about the equivalent of going from Oakville to St. John's, New Brunswick. The distribution system itself, in 2012, we invested approximately $13 million in the system. This replaces transformers, building new underground and overhead wire systems, changing roads, adding capacity for new residents, and all to help with the continued invest in the town of Oakville and our ratepayers for the town. We also pride ourselves with the safety program that we've got in-house. Our safety program, which I had mentioned has won an award, is one where we give all of our employees the responsibility and the obligation to promote safety and a safe work environment. This is something that takes a lot of effort and a lot of direct participation by management and all staff. We take this safety program out to the schools as well, and we take that to teach students the requirement for staying alive at work, not just in an electrical program, but just general work safety. And we also use it for electrical safety as well. All this investment and the promotion that we have as far as safety, we do it on the basis of distribution charges per month from our customers, from our ratepayers. We're able to efficiently and effectively make these investments along with the regular operating costs of our company and maintain approximately middle of the pack as far as our cost for an average home of about 800 kilowatt hours of electricity. So we are not the cheapest, nor are we the most expensive, but we certainly have a very good investment into our community, and we're about the middle of the pack for our costs. With that, we are better than middle of the pack with respect to system reliability and performance. We did have a slight change over 2011, which was a banner year for us. We had frequency of outages slightly less, but the duration was a little bit longer on those outages. That being said, we still maintain one of the best records with respect to system reliability and performance. Customers also seem to appreciate this. We had a survey rating of A+ for the power quality and reliability in Oakville. This is certainly higher than the provincial average of A. Speaking of customer feedback, we have a tendency to really focus on trying to provide a good service. Again, it's one of those strategic imperatives that we have. And as a result, I think we've had very good success with our overall customer satisfaction of 92% of electricity bill payers that are very or fairly satisfied with our services. This compares higher than the national and the Ontario averages. So we're quite proud of those results. Not only do we operate on a basis of what's happening in the community, but we also go out and work with other utilities. And the intent is to collectively work and have a innovative and cost-effective programs with other utilities. One of which is an organization called Grid Smart City, where we actually work closely with this group. We have a number of regular meetings with the intent of trying to keep our costs down, to share services, to look at other options and innovative products that we can provide to our ratepayers in a very cost-effective manner. But we're not just a distribution company. We also have other services, which is our energy-related services. That includes renewable generation. We've got underground utility construction and energy services with our Sandpiper brand and home comfort service offerings. As mentioned earlier, we purchased a number of portfolios this year to expand our home comfort offerings. We have installed the solar array on the top of Town Hall here. We have recently negotiated a run-of-the-river power generation facility, which we have recently closed, and continue to work and develop on other renewable energy options that are intended to add value to us collectively as an organization. So going back to the start, our strategic imperatives continue to be the profit, the service, the people, and the community of Oakville. We try and do that through the business growth, through sustainability, through excellence of our own internal operations, providing reliability of power supply, and so forth. That sort of leads to now the boring part of the entire thing, which I sort of relate a little bit more to, being the CFO. The overall consolidated financial statements for December 31st, 2012, our financial statements are audited by KPMG, and they have stated that the financial statements do present fairly the financial aspects of Oakville Hydro in all material respects in accordance with Canadian generally accepted accounting principles. As of December 31st, 2012, the total assets were $271 million compared with $244 million in 2011. The primary increase in the capital assets is a combination of the acquisition of the home comfort portfolios plus our ongoing investment in the distribution systems of the LDC. Current assets also increased with increases in cash and accounts receivable as we increase our business activities. Offsetting the assets, we do have liabilities, and they have increased from $139 million in 2011 to $164 million in 2012. The primary driver for the increase in liabilities is the Glenorchy Transformer Station loan from Infrastructure Ontario for $22 million that we incurred this year. From the consolidated statement of operations, revenues were $37.9 million compared with $32.8 million, an increase of $5.1 million. The increase is primarily a result of how we're required to recognize revenues under the rules and regulations of the Ontario Energy Board, but also with the growth of revenues from our competitive energy services group, specifically the hot water tank portfolios. Our expenses did increase as well, about $4 million to $21.7 million, but it resulted in earnings before interest, taxes, and depreciation, EBITDA, of $25.9 million compared to $21.8 million in the previous year. Depreciation is approximately $3.8 million higher, again part of due to the competitive energy services group, but also with the accounting as required by the Ontario Energy Board. Finally, our after-tax net income was $4.2 million compared with $5.1 million of the prior year. As you can see, the largest contributor to the difference is the accounting for tax. Unfortunately, we are a taxable entity. We do have to pay tax as well. Looking at the cash flow statement, we had a net increase in cash of approximately $14.6 million in 2012. This places us into a very strong position. The primary reason for the increase in that cash is the financing activities, which is the Glenorchy transformer loan that we picked up from Infrastructure Ontario that I mentioned earlier. But this leaves us in a very strong position for our distribution company going forward to be very financially secure. It also gives us the opportunity to invest in other opportunities of renewable energy and other energy-related activities as we move forward into the new years. So we are quite happy with the opportunities that we've got in front of us. Finally, I'd like to highlight the payments that we have made to the town of Oakville. In 2012, we made approximately $9.4 million of payments to the town of Oakville in a variety of different forms, including dividends and interest. And over the last 13 years, or 12 years since 2000, we've made $134 million worth of payments to the town of Oakville. In 2013, we anticipate that the payments to the town will be down slightly, primarily as a result of a dividend of $2.3 million that has been declared as compared to $2.8 million in 2012. Thank you very much for your attention on the short presentation here. I'd gladly answer any questions if I can do so.
Thank you very much, Mr. Collins. Questions? Councillor Giddings.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for keeping our lights on. Congratulations for getting an A+ on your report card.
Thank you.
And most of all, thanks for the dividends.
Our pleasure.
Looking at great to see the further expansion. You just touched on it briefly in terms of
Yes.
the two new entities, the sandpipers, I'm calling them,
Yes.
Generation and Kagawong.
Kagawong is a recent acquisition that we've had for a run-of-the-river power generation facility, yes.
All right, and They're separate from Oakville Hydro under energy?
We do have them in separate legal entities. They are in 100% owned subsidiaries of Oakville Hydro Corporation. So yes, they are separate from the distribution company, and they are in what we call the energy services or competitive energy services group.
All right, and so there'll be a dotted line crossover the back end of Oakville Hydro looking after?
We do have a separate management, we do have a management team looking after those assets, headed by Scott Moody. It's not really a dotted line per se. They do go up through Rob as the, Rob Lister is the CEO of the combined entity, and so it is all under the same Oakville Hydro Corporation entity. So it is all under the entire group.
All right, and last question. Article 501, it was talking about the boards for both sandpipers, and that the board will be set at 9. Is that separate from the Oakville Hydro Board, or is it the same body?
That would be the same as the Oakville Hydro Corporation board. We do have 2 separate boards, one specifically for the Electricity Distribution Corp, right, and one for Oakville Hydro Corporation. And the reason for that is there has to be 3 independent members on the LDC board. So the Sandpiper boards will be the same as the Oakville Hydro Corporation or the parent company. They will have the same members as the as that board.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Burke.
Thank you very much. I was intrigued by your comment on the Sandpiper. Is it Coagulawong?
Coagulawong, yes.
Is that the one up in Manitoulin Island deal? That
yes, it is.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
All right. If there are no other questions, I wonder if we could have a mover and seconder for the motions. Councillor Khan and Councillor Adams move item 1 and item 2, right? All those in favor? Sorry? Oh, there's a small correction, which the clerk notes, that in part 4 of item 1, the names got mixed up, and so it should properly read that the Sandpiper Coagulawong Inc. bylaw number 1, dated April 4th, 2013, relating generally to the transaction of the business and affairs of Sandpiper Coagulawong, a subsidiary of Sandpiper Generating Inc., be approved. So if everybody's clear on that. So all those in favor? Opposed, if any? That is adopted. Thank you very much for being here. And now that that's been done, the clerk tells me it's proper to reveal the names of the directors we have just appointed, and they are David Brennan, Mayor Rob Burton, CAO Ray Green, Donald McCreesh, John Mitchell, Mike Russell, Marie Oswald, Robert Wickham, and Chair Gary Burkett. And congratulations to you board members on your success, and thank you for your service. Now that, if I haven't lost my place, here we go. We have no confidential discussion items, and you have your information items circulated electronically to you. And I understand that there might be some new business from Ward 2. Councillor, it's after you. Councillor Demoff.
I have 2. The first one, Councillor Duddick and I attended Blakelock Secondary School to receive a gift for the town of Oakville from the city of Nayagawa, Japan. So we would like to present this to you. And the second one, just over a week ago, I had the great privilege of traveling with Emma and Julia Mogus, the founders of Books with No Bounds, their mom Janet, Ontario Regional Grand Chief Stan Beardy, and 3 others to Fort Severn, Ontario, which is the northernmost community in Ontario. We were welcomed warmly to their community, served traditional food, experienced their culture, learned firsthand about the gap in education funding for Aboriginal youth, and met the amazing students who've benefited from the books that Emma and Julie have sent to their community. We then traveled to Thunder Bay, where the girls received a Community Development Award at the Northwestern Ontario Youth Aboriginal Achievement and Recognition Awards. So I'd like to ask Council to join Councillor Kathy Duddick and me in congratulating these two amazing sisters who've now sent 18,000 books to their brothers and sisters in the Anishinaabe-Aski Nation. Thank you, miigwech.
That is amazing. And
It is.
the three of you are now, if not Arctic explorers, you're getting close, right?
We
Councillor Duddick.
But even more so, she can now pluck a goose.
I know a great number of Oakville residents who could nominate some geese for you.
I have to tell you, I look at geese in a whole new way now. Yeah.
Well, that lends a new meaning to arts and crafts, doesn't it? Well, thank you very much for that. Anyone else? Oh, yes. Thank you. The clerk reminds me that I wanted to thank each member of council for the time I know you're going to spend studying the Metrolinx proposals, which they sent to us today. And to tell you that staff will be doing an analysis and presenting us a report as soon as they can at a near future council meeting. The legislation required Metrolinx to report on a financial plan to the province and to the mayors. And so it could end there, but it's not necessary for you to take a position on them unless you want to, but I was hoping that after we study them and consider staff's advice, we might consider taking a position on them to offer whatever guidance we can to the province and to hope that they might listen to us. I can tell you that I feel very listened to. As you know, over the last several months, I've been fairly active in speaking about the big move, and I have to say that every concern that I brought to the attention of Metrolinx was addressed to my satisfaction, and I did congratulate the board this morning on their work, and I do believe that it's actually a very inspirational report. You have there some of the best and brightest people in our province working on, and they've come up with, I think, a very inspirational report, which if it is followed and we do get into construction, will increase not only the mobility of the residents of the GTA, including Oakville, it will also increase our prosperity. And Mayor McCallion and I were there, and that was the nature of our remarks. And then to conclude on a lighter note, you may be, perhaps you'll be as delighted as I was to receive this favor. Although I went by GO Train and TTC to the announcement, Mayor McCallion offered me a ride home, and she drove me all the way to the front door of Oakville Town Hall in her snappy Volt electric car. And I can report that at 92, she is a courteous and attentive driver, and she did a very good job. And I will not tell you more, but I thought she's such a wonderful neighbor. I have to say she's been kind to me ever since I became mayor. Very sharing and caring. Everything you could want in a neighbor in terms of advice and helping me in the early days to learn my way. And then to offer me the kindness of a ride back to Town Hall. It was just completely charming. And she said, when I thanked her, she said, Pshaw, I'm going to go up Trafalgar and buy some plants. So all the same, a lovely day and a great day for the people of our town and the people of the GTA, if the big move can now get moving. So thank you very much for your attention to the report that we're sending, that you've received. Now, a mover and seconder for consideration and reading of the bylaws would be in order. Councillor Gidding and Councillor, sorry. Oh, another announcement. Terrific. Councillor Elgar and then Councillor Lapworth. Anybody else? Councillor Elgar.
Thank you. Through your worship. Just want to remind everybody that this Saturday, June the 1st, between 8 a.m. and 2 p.m., the Glen Abbey United Church at 1469 Notting Hill Gate is holding an e-waste collection, and they'd like to take all your electronics that you don't want, and so you can declutter your house. They'll take amplifiers, audio, video, cell phones, cameras, copiers, computers, peripherals, fax machines, you name it electronic, they'll take it, and I hope people will get there because it keeps a lot of things from the landfill. So that's again between 8 and 2 p.m. on this Saturday at the Glen Abbey United Church. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Councillor Elgar. And a lot of people will benefit from knowing about that. Councillor Lapworth.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. As the council appointee to the Tow Wharf Board, I'm pleased to report that the Tow Wharf organisation is fully operational, and now that the boating season is in full swing. Although Tow Wharf is not operating 24/7, their times of operation are available on their website. Thank you. Thank
you very much. That's very good to know. Anyone else? Council, we also received a letter of thanks from the Bronte BIA Board of Directors. Thank you for Council's support of Oakville's Canada Day. We hope that you can find a spot for this small token of our appreciation, it reads, and that refers to a lovely glass sculpture commemorating their thanks for our support of this year's Canada's Day. And I, of course, welcome that from our good friends at the Bronte BIA. So now, perhaps, I did call for a motion. I believe it was Councillor Giddings and Councillor Johnston. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Thank you. That carries. That completes our agenda. Thank you for your time and attention. It's been great working with you, and we are adjourned.